It is 6:30 and we have more continuing coverage now of the Garlic Festival shooting investigation. This is a live picture of Christmas Hill Park in Gilroy. FBI investigators say they have finished their search for evidence there. As the search for a motive continues, the FBI says they've now opened a domestic terror investigation. They also say the gunman had a target list, including religious organizations, federal buildings, and courthouses. The shooter's family has released a statement now expressing their grief over what happened. KION's Victor Guzman is live in Gilroy this morning with more on what police are saying about the suspects. Good morning.
Good morning, Barry. The suspect's intent was a violent one, according to investigators, not just here for Christmas Hill Park, where the Garlic Festival is held each year, but investigators said they found a target list which revealed a more sinister plan.
This is one path the gunman may have taken before entering Christmas Hill Park on the last day of the Garlic Festival. You can see a watery creek and ultimately tents indicating the festival was nearby.
He was wearing a bullet-resistant type vest.
It was there police say he fired almost 40 rounds at attendees, killing 3 people and wounding more than 10 others.
He had 2 40-round magazines, and he had 1 40-round magazine.
Investigators say the suspect was exploring violent ideologies. They're still working on finding a motive, but are now investigating this as an act of domestic terrorism. Investigators revealed the suspect had a list of targets, meaning a more sinister plot was in the works.
Religious institutions, federal buildings, courthouses, political organizations from both major political parties, and the Gilroy Garlic Festival.
It's an attack that has impacted the city of Gilroy, Garlic Festival attendees, and the suspect's family. In a statement, the family says, in part, "Our family is deeply shocked and horrified by the actions of our son." To the families of Stephen Romero, Kayla Salazar, Trevor Irby, and to the injured that survived this tragedy, we cannot begin to describe our despair at his actions. We want to express our deepest and sincerest apologies for the loss and pain that he has caused.
Gilroy police say as they were engaged with the suspect, they fired 18 shots, multiple of those shots hitting the suspect. They say any of the victims, the shooting victims, none of them were hit by the police gunfire, that police-friendly fire during that encounter. Barry?
All right, very good, Victor. Thank you. How about the scene itself, though? Is the park open now?
Barry, police and the FBI say that Christmas Hill Park will not be open within the next few weeks. They want to make sure the vendors and people who left their belongings behind as a result of this incident are able to grab those belongings and collect them. Now, as far as the festival itself, the city and the residents themselves have said that they want the Garlic Festival back for next year.
All right, Victor, thank you very much for that. One of the 3 people who was killed in the festival shooting has been laid to rest now. Kayla Salazar's family said their goodbyes yesterday at a memorial service at a San Jose church. Before the service, friends, family members used colored markers to write messages on her casket. Parents in Marina might be a little shaken this morning after reports of an active shooter at Los Arboles Middle School yesterday. It turned out the threats were false. Marina police say they received the report yesterday that there was a man with a gun on campus. The Marina Teen Center was put on lockdown as a precaution. Police say that no one with a gun was located and there was no active shooter and that no one was in danger. Many Central Coast schools are now reacting to the recent mass shootings with a second look at their security. UC Santa Cruz police are reminding students to report any suspicious activity they might see. They say never hesitate to contact police. At 6:34, we're going to take a look across the nation right now. This is Joint Base Andrews in Maryland. Activity is starting to pick up. That is Marine One. It's the helicopter the president uses to get around. President Trump will be visiting the sites of the 2 mass shootings today. He'll be meeting with victims and first responders in El Paso, Texas. But first, it's Dayton, Ohio. And as Natalie Brand reports, people in both cities are questioning if his visit will sound the right tone.
President Trump is flying to Dayton, Ohio, and then El Paso, Texas, 2 communities grieving from this weekend's mass shootings that killed more than 30 people.
What he wants to do is go to these communities and grieve with them, pray with them, offer condolences,
This trip is not without controversy. President Trump's rhetoric has been divisive.
This is an invasion.
People in both cities are questioning if he should fill his role as comforter-in-chief.
May God bless the memory of those who perished in Toledo.
Toledo instead of Dayton. I think some sincerity issues there.
Beyond the name mix-up, Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley says the president's recent remarks have fallen short in addressing gun safety issues.
His rhetoric has been painful for many in our community, and I think that people should stand up and say they're not happy if they're not happy that he's coming.
In El Paso, Raul Melendez's father-in-law died shielding his wife and granddaughter. He's looking to the president for answers.
I hope that he has better news to tell us about how all this is going to be changed.
Late last night in a Twitter back and forth, President Trump attacked former El Paso Congressman Beto O'Rourke, writing that O'Rourke should respect the victims and law enforcement and be quiet. O'Rourke tweeted back, 22 people in my hometown are dead after an act of terror inspired by your racism. El Paso will not be quiet, and neither will I. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Dayton.
In the wake of the nation's mass shootings, protesters around the country now are pushing for tougher gun control laws.
Enough is enough.
That was the message and the scene at the White House yesterday as demonstrators called on the Senate to take action and pass H.R. 8. That bill would require background checks on just about every gun sale in America. The legislation was passed by the House with bipartisan support in February.
Enough is enough. We are calling on Leader McConnell to bring the bill that passed the House to the floor of the Senate ASAP.
In a statement, McConnell said, and we quote, Senate Republicans are prepared to do our part. Only serious, bipartisan, bicameral efforts will enable us to continue this important work and produce further legislation that can pass the Senate, pass the House, and earn the president's signature. Meanwhile, dozens of communities around the country are going to be holding their El Paso Firme or El Paso Strong vigils. On the Central Coast, the Women's March Monterey Bay will have a vigil tonight, 5 till 6:30 at Window on the Bay Park. 6:37 is the time. Let's go outside now. This is a view from the KION studios as we're looking at the on-ramp to 101 and some of the traffic that is starting the morning commute. Here with a look at our weather is our Weather Authority meteorologist, Erica Lopez.
Yeah, Barry.
All right, Erica, thank you. It is 6:39 now, and coming up, the moment a man saves a dog trapped in a hot car. A reminder to pet owners during the hot summer months. And new on Wake Up this morning, California's largest recycling company is closing its doors. How it could leave many on the Central Coast shortchanged.
Good morning, welcome back.
I thought the guy is on break because usually he takes his break at 1.
California's largest recycling company is closing all 284 centers all across the state. Replanet's closure is leaving hundreds of employees without jobs, including some who work here on the Central Coast. The company had recycling locations in Aptos, Watsonville, and Salinas. All of those will be closing. By one estimate, as many as 40% of the state's recycling centers have closed in the last 5 years. That's dealt a blow to recycling efforts, as well as those who depend on them for income.
It's very difficult. There are many people recycling right now, you know.
For several years now, recycling advocates have been pushing the state to reform its refund program in hopes of keeping centers like these open. A big win for environmentalists in Santa Cruz County, where the Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to ban single-use plastic bottles at county facilities. Advocates say that the plastic problem, pollution, it's growing. We're also seeing microplastics in Monterey Bay, they say. Another ordinance was also approved. It implements a charge for single-use disposable cups. Some are happy about the changes, but they say still more needs to be done.
You know, I think there's still more we got to do. We'll keep on campaigning for even bolder action.
Santa Cruz County will no longer serve or sell water bottles in county buildings. When you buy things like a cup of coffee in the morning, there'll be a charge added for the disposal of the cup later on. A New Mexico man who spotted an ailing dog in a hot car being treated as a hero.
Yeah, this morning he is being called a hero after he took matters into his own hands.
No doubt about that. Gerasimos Clonis, his name. He was leaving his Albuquerque restaurant when he spotted the dog. He called 911 and he waited for the dog's owner as long as he could. Then Clonis broke the car's window and freed the dog. He later confronted the owner. The owner reportedly cited for animal cruelty by animal welfare officials.
So glad they were able to save him. And back in California, Taco Bell is taking over the V Hotel in Palm Springs. This weekend, it will be the Bell offering exclusive meals and merch for Taco Bell superfans. Folks are also so interested in the event that the hotel's 70 rooms sold out in just 2 minutes. There will also be a bar DJ, surprising musical performances, and even a salon that features nail designs, fades, and braids inspired by Taco Bell. I can just imagine getting a manicure and seeing a cute little taco on your nail.
Oh, I bet that.
Yeah.
Like a little artwork like that.
Yeah,
but it's a far cry from the drive-through window, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe there are Taco Bell super fans of tacos. I don't know. That's just weird to me.
If you're headed there, let us know.
Yeah.
Well, 6:48 is the time, and if you're just joining us, don't go anywhere as we'll take a look at the morning's top stories.
And I'll have a look at your back-to-school forecast as well.
Right now, we're going to take a break, and as we do, Anthony Mason is standing by, and he's got a look at what's coming up at 7 on CBS this morning. 6:51 now. Welcome back. It's time now for a look at our top stories. The FBI says it is now launching a full domestic terror investigation into the Gilroy Garlic Festival shooting that killed 3. KION's Victor Guzman's live with the latest details.
Good morning, Barry. And investigators say that the suspect had a more sinister plan in the works. He had a target list. That list included religious and political organizations and entities. It also included the Garlic Festival, too. Investigators say the suspect explored violent but competing ideologies. As a result, the FBI says this is now a domestic terror investigation. Investigators say that they're done collecting evidence here at Christmas Hill Park now. It won't be open to the public, though, for the next few weeks, as they will continue allowing people to collect their belongings, allow vendors to collect their belongings too, and allow others to collect their vehicles who they had to leave it behind in the mad scramble. And as police were collecting evidence, they wanted to keep everything on site for now. But within the next few weeks, they'll be able to collect those items. But until then, until all that's done, that's when they will open it to the public. And they say the park should be open, though, again within the next few weeks. Barry, back to you.
All right, Victor, thank you for that. 6:52 now. We're going to take you across the nation. That is Air Force One. This is Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, outside of Washington. President Trump on board. He is now taking off on a trip to first Dayton, Ohio, then El Paso, Texas, the two cities reeling from the deadly shootings over the weekend. Protests are planned in both cities today, objecting to the president's visit. Meanwhile, a coalition of Walmart employees is now calling for a nationwide walkout today. They're demanding that the chain stop selling firearms and ammunition in its stores. Saturday's mass shooting happened at a Walmart in El Paso. Last month, 2 people were gunned down at a Walmart in Mississippi. Meanwhile, dozens of communities around the country are going to be holding El Paso Firme, or El Paso Strong, vigils. On the Central Coast, Women's March Monterey Bay will be holding their vigil tonight. It starts at 5, runs till 6:30 at Window on the Bay Park. New on Wake Up, a moment of panic in New York City's Times Square. People scattered when they heard what they thought were gunshots. Turned out it wasn't gunfire, but a motorcycle that backfired. Several people suffered minor injuries in the stampede. Also new this morning, California's largest recycling company is closing all 284 centers across the state. Replanet's closure now leaves hundreds of employees without jobs, including some here on the Central Coast. The company had locations in Aptos, Watsonville, and Salinas. We have an update for you now on the fatal accident that involved a pedestrian on Highway 1 in Santa Cruz County. The CHP said the victim is 28-year-old Salinas man. It was struck Monday night by a car merging onto the southbound Highway 1. Drugs, alcohol, not considered a factor. Cities and police agencies around the Central Coast hosted National Night Out festivities last night. Law enforcement hoping that this year's message will not be forgotten soon. Now, this was the scene in Salinas last night. National Night Out, established, of course, to promote better understanding between police and the communities they serve. Due to the mass shooting a little over a week ago, Gilroy postponed their event until October. And remember, you can find details on these stories and much more when you visit us online at KION546.com. We'll turn our attention to the weather forecast. Here's our Weather Authority meteorologist, Erica Loper. We may see conditions like that all day long in some spots, huh? Okay.
Yes, especially the Monterey Peninsula.
Not just the morning commute.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we thank you for joining us this morning. We have more news tonight coming up at 5 and 6. CBS This Morning is next.
And for now, we'll leave you with this live look from our Mount Toro camp. Have a great Wednesday.